we're talking about a topic that makes governments uncomfortable, that gets researchers threatened, and that millions of Africans whisper about but rarely hear discussed openly. Deep state actors across Africa. Glad to have you back in yet another episode here. My name is Godwin and you are listening to Mindset Podcast. Today, we're going somewhere bold. We're not talking about conspiracy theory shadows here, no. We're talking about entrenched networks. Now, before we dive in, let's be clear on what we mean by deep state. Powerful military officers, intelligence operatives, foreign corporate interests, and political elites who operate largely outside public accountability and often beyond the reach of elected governments. They shape policy, control resources, and in many ways, and in many cases also, determine who leads and who falls. Let's start in North Africa. Egypt is a textbook example. Since the 1952 revolution, Egyptian military has never truly left power. Even under elected civilian governments, the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces controlled vast economic interests from construction to tourism to food production. When Mohamed Morsi was elected in 2012, the deep state centered around military intelligence orchestrated a political environment that made governance nearly impossible. By 2013, General Abdel Fattah el-Sisi moved in. The civilian facade was removed. The deep state became the state. Moving south to sub-Saharan Africa, the picture is just as complex. In Sudan, for decades, the National Intelligence and Security Service, that's the NISS, operated as a parallel government. It ran businesses, managed foreign relationships, and controlled population movements, all outside parliamentary oversight. Even after Omar al-Bashir fell in 2019, the Rapid Support Forces, a militia born from the feared Janjaweed, refused to dissolve. Today, that same entrenched military network is at the center of a brutal civil war. In Nigeria, Africa's most populous and strong nation, analysts have long pointed to what some call the APC Cabals, a network of northern elites and retired generals who have historically influenced who gets nominated, who governs, and which regions get federal investment. It is not a formal institution. It has no letterhead, but its fingerprints are on decades on Nigerian politics. And then there are the foreign actors, perhaps the most uncomfortable part of this conversation. France's covert influence in Francophone Africa, known as Franc-Afrique, has been extensively documented. French intelligence, corporate interests, and military arrangements created shadow governance structures in countries like Gabon, Chad, Cameroon, and Cote d'Ivoire. When those arrangements were threatened, governments failed. Some leaders died under mysterious circumstances. More recently, however, Russia's Wagner Group, now rebranded under state control, has embedded itself in Mali, Burkina Faso. They don't answer to African parliaments. They answer to interests thousands of miles away. So what does all this mean for the average African? It means that elections, while necessary, are often insufficient. Real power does not always sit in parliament. It sits in the general's office, in the intelligence briefing room, in Paris boardroom, in a mining contract signed without public knowledge. The antidote, and this is the mindset part, is an informed, engaged, and vocal citizenry. Keep asking, keep thinking, keep pushing. That's all for today's episode. I'm Godwin. You've been listening to Mindset Podcast. Share this with someone who needs to hear about deep state, and I will catch you in the next episode. Cheers.